right, time to get this show started. Make sure I've got all my dials set up correctly. Last time on the stream, everything was getting really messed up. Should be in good shape now. Welcome. Just starting the stream here for my tower defense game in GDevelop. And the last time I put in some water towers, and I'm going to... I just added an extension. I'm going to add some reflective objects so we can add puddles. So for the puddles, I'm just going to put in a quick temporary sprite. Actually, let me see if there's anything here. Let's search for water. Oh, what do we have? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'll just draw a circle. So I'm going to create this in the editor here. Let's do something like this. I'll just hand draw it. What size are we? 64 by 64. Let's do a little bit bigger. We'll go 128 by 128. And yeah, it doesn't really matter too much here. I'm not even sure I'll get this working tonight. Just want to get something on the screen. All right, and fill that in. And yeah, whatever. Really don't care about this. Just want to get something out there. So let's look at the points on here. We've got the center right about here. Let's put the origin point at the center-ish as well. Now, if that was 128 by 128, then 64 would be the x-coordinate. And we'll just eyeball the y-coordinate. And let's call this puddle. And apply. So what I'm going to do is open the puddle up, go to behaviors, add behavior, and let me see here. Like I said, I'm just learning this behavior right now. Learning this behavior tonight live. I'm sure we will get there. So let me look at my reference material here. So it's the reflective surface community built extension. So does it have to be applied to only a tileable object? Let's open up the example here. This is one thing that's so awesome about GDevelop is you can just in an instant open up a sample project and play around with it and learn how it works. So the tile water, so the behavior is not on that. There's a reflection of the player character here. So that's interesting. It's not a behavior you add on the object. It's just in the scene itself. So just in the scene directly. It's not Halloween yet, but I've got my witch's cauldron. Witch's brew. All right, so let's see what they did here for this reflectivity. They've got, looks like it's all down here in the bottom, so pretty lightweight, really. They create reflection using the reflective. They create a reflection using the reflection sprite, which is, it looks like a duplicate of the player object. And in fact, it looks like they have a duplicate of each item that they want to reflect. And so those count as the reflections, and then they will mirror the thing that is in the of parameter. And they've listed at distance 0 and full opacity 255. At Z order 1, base layer, do not delete on touch, distance of 25 for the player and 0 for the rest. So let's see what happens here. So I can move around, jump. And the clouds are also, of course, they're moving on their own. And we're getting, oh, I died. We're getting the reflections. So it looks like when the player goes into the water, it does seem to delete. Excuse me. Is it deleting? No, I guess it's not deleting. It just stops reflecting because I fell to my death. So creating that on the floor object. Really interesting how simple that seems. So let's go into the scene. How do we want to test this? How do we want to test this? Could test it with the enemies, which would actually be the end goal. Let's add another object in here to test things with. I'm just going to do some kind of 64 by 64. Let me double check the size of some of my enemies. And hopefully everyone's having a good night tonight. Almost to the weekend, people, so hang in there if your week is stressing you out. What I'm going to do is create an object that will serve as a shadow just as we troubleshoot this thing. So, but I wanted to double check the size of my enemy sprites. Right here. So the medium one, if I open that up in the editor here, that is 50 by 50. So let's make a 50 by 50 circle right here. Let's create this thing. Just need a resize this thing to 50 by 50. Drag that out. And let's do a fill. Let's just do like a gray. Although we have the option to play with opacity, which will take the black and make it more of a gray. So let's just do this. Save that, and we'll just call this temp shadow, or I guess reflect. And apply. Let's do the edit points. Let's put the origin at the center. Sometimes that's easier. And apply that. So we've got a puddle. We have a temporary reflection. And what I'll do is, as the enemies are coming down, the object will be to reflect them in the puddle thingy. So let's see. How do I want to do this? Probably, I think there's an event here for if the number of enemies on the scene is greater than 0. So that's probably where I would start. Or I could start with if the number of puddles is greater. Let's do that. Actually, I think it's right here. So repeat for each instance. Now I'll just do a new event here. Let's do the sub event, which I think it went way down to the bottom. Let me add a comment. This will be enemy and I guess reflections. It's good to let your enemies reflect every now and then. I think we all need some reflection in life. Apply, and then, so we already have if the number of enemies is greater than 0. Wait, do we? Repeat for each instance of enemy. We actually need to move this whole thing under an event. So this needs to be under that. It's just a check. And I will also do a comment here for, I'll just say enemy backers. It's the name I gave to the sprite object. All right, so that will help optimize just a little bit. And then down here I will say if the number of puddles on the scene is greater than 0. Then underneath that, we will do a repeat. I think. Let me go back to, I know in the example, they didn't show repeat, I believe. So this is the example. But they only had one of each type of object. So when we have multiple of each type of object, it will need to be a for each. I'm pretty sure. So we will do for each enemy backers. And then we'll do the thing that they just said. So let's go in here and let's look for add reflection to object. Let's choose a puddle. The object does not exist. The original object would be the enemy backers. The distance offset, well, what did they do? Probably, was it 0? It's probably been updated since then. It's a couple of years old. Probably 0, and then reflection opacity, let's set that to like, I don't even know, 100? What'd they do? They did full opacity. Did they really do full opacity? Let's double check. I mean, none of those reflections look like full opacity, but the player object is set to 255. But the rest are set to 155, which is close to what I did. I'll do 155 as well. Reflective surface object will do the temporary reflection, which is just a circle. The object order, I think that is also set to, I don't know. Let's just set that to like 500, something crazy like that. And distance before removing the reflection. We'll just set it to 0. And then between 0 transparent oh, I see. The reflective surface object. What'd they do here? What is this opacity for? This opacity is the reflection opacity. So is this the opacity of the puddle? I don't know. Let's set that to 155 as well. Delete reflection when it collides with the original object. Let's just say yes. Actually, let's say no. I'll have to figure out how I want to manage the removal of those objects. This will be interesting to test. So let's do... Maybe I'll change the scene here, because it's going to take a minute for them to get all the way over there. Now, I can just set it here. That'll be fine. And I want to increase the ambient light value so we can see what's happening here as well. So let's see, let's do... It's already pretty high. All right, what else do we need here? Let's do that. Go back down to the events. And so we've got for each enemy. If the number of enemies on the scene is greater than 0, then repeat for each instance of the enemy. If the number of... I wonder if this is actually redundant here, because I say repeat for each instance of the enemy, then I say it again. I can probably move this up actually and delete this event. Let's see what happens. I have no idea what to expect right now. Learning this in real time. And I had a thing over there. Okay, so it deleted the puddle immediately. Actually, let me run that again with the debugger open. Did it delete or did it move to a different layer? Okay, let me scroll down here. So we have one puddle. And we have... what is happening? It says we have 2 puddles. Where... So it's at 0? No, it's at 310, negative 286. Both of them are. How did that happen? Oh, I know what's happening. I got these backwards. This needs to be the puddle. This needs to be the reflection. It would help if I didn't get things completely backwards. All right, let's do this again. Look at that. That shadow is just going. Going. That is so weird. Let me pause. Let's see how many instances of each object we have. It's going kind of slow here. It's kind of freaking out. Maybe I'm calling... Maybe I'm calling the event too many times. All right, what is this a child of? Let's go up, follow the line. Okay, so that is a child of... I have an idea. Let's move this up. It might have to do with the order of events here. So this might very well be the issue. I'm going to paste that comment there. So now it's going to simply be if the number of enemy backers on the scene is greater than 0, and if the number of puddles living on the scene is greater than 0. I think I really need my own little repeat for each enemy here, which is not optimal, but I think it's going to be functional. Anyways, we'll test it out and find out. Because the one down below it is going to have nothing to do with these puddles. All right, let's run a test here. I'm going to open this up with the debugger on the side. All right, so saying we've got one puddle and no reflections. So if I start the waves now, let me drag this out. If I start the waves, and pause, now it's saying we've got one puddle, one reflection, which is obviously right there. Still have one puddle, one reflection. So it's deleting the other ones. So we told it to delete on touch, no. Touch distance of 0. Let me drag this maybe further down. Again, I'm just playing with this live in real time, learning how it works. I'm not sure why any of those shadows would just automatically delete, but we're going to find out. Call in the enemies. Also not sure why they have reflections way out here. Looks like it still did the same thing here. Let's go back to our example project online here. So create reflection of blocky bub at distance 0 and 255 opacity on the floor at that Z order. So all of the, the Z order seems fine. What if we play around with this scene? What if I move this up? What would happen? Mess around and find out. Yeah, so the player is definitely not deleting his reflection. This is how I want it to be for mine. Of course, this is so much simpler. It doesn't have multiple versions of the player object. So strange. I wonder why they're deleting. So the original object is the enemy. The distance offset is at 0, which is the default. The reflective surface object is the puddle. The reflection object is the orders 500. That's just so it's on top and we can see it. It's on the base order layer. We said do not delete the reflection when it collides. Distance before removing the reflection is 0. But I get the feeling this is only supposed to be if this is selected yes, which it's not. And then some transparency. Trying to get to the bottom of why it's deleting reflections and why are they appearing outside of the puddle. So again, going back to the online example, you know, the player object does not have a reflection. Well, it does have a reflection. Huh. So it's not specific to the water object there. That's interesting. That's interesting. So it's not tied. Well, if it's having that issue, then how am I supposed to fix it? Let me close this out. And I don't know if that auto-saved or not. Let me go back to this example. Go to the build, pick that example. Go to my manual save, which should just be the original. All right, so this is unmodified. I didn't make any changes to this version. I mean, I don't think it's going to be any different, but you know, if I move this somewhere else, he still has that reflection. I don't know why. All right, so now I'm trying to think of some manual methods to maybe delete the object if it's not part of the puddle. Obviously, it's a lot simpler if you have something that's spanning the entire scene like this. But if it's like a small puddle and not this big ocean, then we need some other capabilities here, right? So if I go to my scene, first of all, again, I don't know why the other two enemies are deleting their reflections. All right, one puddle, no reflections, spawn them in. That first one had one there and it just now deleted. Don't know if you saw that. And the other one came in and it deleted. Now that one has one and it's going to stick around the whole time. And it's like it has nothing to do with the puddle object. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe there's just a bug with the extension itself. Or maybe it's just not part of, you know, maybe it wasn't the intention to use something as small as this. Maybe they only intended it to be like a full side to side. Let's go to the, we have documentation? All right, let's see what we can find out about this. It's made using these features, draggable behavior. So it's in here as an example. I wonder if we have, oh, right here. Okay, we already know this. This is built into the extension, so we can read that in engine. Actions, add reflection to object, reflect your object. Richard Finney, how you doing this evening? You having a good week? Let me go see. Again, they didn't add any kind of behavior to the objects themselves. So if I open this up, behavior, there's nothing there. Open that up, nothing there. So let's see. Not sure how far we're going to get with reflections tonight. So we might just have to move over to the tower abilities, which I do want to keep fleshing those out. Having a good week. Glad to hear it, man. Have any doing anything special for Labor Day? Hopefully you've got an extended weekend coming up. Cam Day says cut off your comment. You made an invisible and flipped reverse sprite that appears when the real one hits a start point and disappears when it hits an end point. Couldn't figure it out. Yeah, sorry I cut off your comment. It's probably really frustrating. Yeah, I might have to do something like that. And I was hoping that this extension would get me where I'm trying to go. It's just, I mean, it's extending off. Oh, there you go. There's the rest of your comment. Yeah, if you couldn't figure it out and had the sprite just go under the map, but onto the water, and it worked well enough. Yeah, that's interesting. Was that in GDevelop or was that in a different engine? And this is going to be a capability of this tower here, by the way. Got a couple of beams going on in the past couple of weeks. What if we call in some more troops here? It seems like the last one in each array is the only one that retains its reflection. It's pretty bizarre. Let's see here. So, yeah, using GDevelop there, you were making a fishing game and needed some basic reflections. That's pretty awesome. Did you use layers for the going under the map and onto the water? Because I could see that being an option. We've got plenty of layers here. Yeah, I'm just not sure about this extension. I was really excited to try it out. I think it's missing something for my use case. I think it works for that example, but I don't think it's going to cut it for me unless I go in and manually tweak it. And I don't want to bore everyone with trying to figure that out live. So I'm going to shift gears for now. And I've got my handy dandy spreadsheet here. And for the water, we got the water beam basically implemented. And next I was going to add in some sort of a rain effect. And so I was thinking it could create like basically like a rain cloud that follows enemies. But I could also have it sort of shoot water out. And so I might try that using a tween effect. I need some raindrops, but let's see. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do this either. I usually lately I've only been developing while live streaming, so I'm figuring everything out live as I go. So I'm going to add, I just need like a raindrop. I don't care how good it looks right now. Let's just see if there's one in the store. Let's do drop. Okay, there's a pair of drops. There's a single one. You can barely see these icons. Let's just grab that one. And let's look at the points. Let's put the origin point probably at the center. So we'll do 16 by 19. And apply. And let's call that raindrop. Okay, and that's pretty small. And so all I'm going to do is I need my water tower head. Yeah, so close the enemies, look under towers, go to tower object, actually tower heads. And tower head water behaviors. We do have fire bullets. So we could use that, or I could take a different approach. So let me think. We could say, let's go to the water tower area. Down below. Water tower heads. Here we go. So if the number of these are greater than 0 or is greater than 0, then repeat for each instance. Let's just say unconditionally start creating these raindrops. We will pick the enemy nearest to the tower, so we'll do it underneath that. Add a sub event down below. Let's add a comment. This will be, we'll just say rain. And we want to, I guess we'll do a timer. An object timer. Of that tower. We'll just call it rain timer is greater than or equal to, and we'll just say, I don't know, 0.1 second, maybe 0.2 seconds. And it's going to create these raindrops. So we will, let me think. We're going to create it basically at the tower center, and then it's going to tween over to, it needs to go to the nearest enemy, but the pitfall there is we don't want it to go to the enemy's point at which the calculation is first made. We need it to continue to track the enemy. which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how good it's going to look, but we're going to find out. So let's do, because for example, just to illustrate what I'm talking about, I have something kind of similar with my meteor tower, where the big rock is going to shoot out every 9 seconds at the nearest enemy. So just give it a minute, rather 9 seconds. It's going to shoot up out the top and crash over there. But to make that accurate, I just had it shoot over really quickly. And if it were moving more slowly, it would just lag behind and land behind the enemy. So I actually need this to be, I need each drop to basically track. Something like that. I could do it similar to the flamethrower, where it's not really tracking the enemy at all. It's just tracking a direction. That might work too. And it just tracks a direction kind of indiscriminately. So it could just kind of water hose out. That might work. So it wouldn't be a tween. It would really just be more of a cone / particle effect. Probably easier to pull off as well. Slightly concerned about how bad it's going to look at first, but I'm sure I could get it reasonable in a short amount of time. So let's just say let's grab the raindrop and we'll create that at the position center X, and grab that code center Y on the base layer. And then, so it's going to be every 1/5 of a second. And then we need to create an event. Where to go? Unconditionally, if the number of drops, raindrops, is greater than 0, then as a sub event of that, we will have it rather, we need a for each instance here. So let's add that in here. For each instance of the raindrop. All right, we're going to pick the enemy, we'll say like nearest to the end. And so it's going to pick the enemy that's nearest to the end point, and then it's going to, we'll start a tween. We'll see how this works. So rain drop tween. Actually, I need to add the tween behavior. Go down to the drop, behavior, tween. All right, now let's go back and add that in there. We will start a tween of the position. We'll just call it raindrop movement. And that will go to the enemy's center position, and if it goes fast enough, it might hit it. I might change this later. We'll just start off with linear and duration. I mean, it should be pretty quickly. Obviously, if it's too fast, we won't really see it very well. Let's just try a second, and do destroy this object when the tween finishes, and hit OK. All right, let's see what kind of nonsense we get now. What kind of nonsense is it going to give us? You know what's funny is if I'm doing linear, we might not even see these things because we have that beam going on. Let's disable the beam for now. Oh, you know what I also didn't do is start that timer. So we need to do two things. Let's disable the beam stuff. And then we also need to start this timer. So that is the rain timer of the tower head. So that actually needs to occur whenever we create the tower. So we need to go up. Way up here. Let's just do a search. All right, we're close. All right, whenever it's clicked, we want to start the timer. Start or reset an object timer. That would be timer of the waterhead tower, rain timer, okay. Then let's go back down to rain. All right. That should get them going. Let's test that out again. Okay, we're getting them. We're getting some rain. Obviously, they're not facing forward. They're deleting. So we've got a fire hose. I mean, it's kind of water. It's a starting point. So, you know, better off than my reflections anyway. Let's put the face forward behavior on here. See if that helps. Let me think. I swear it was... Am I forgetting the name of it? I swear I just used it. What am I getting wrong here? Forward. Maybe I need to do it here in the event. So let's go to where it's created, which is actually just right here. Man, all right, let me go back to the documentation. I'm forgetting something here, something basic. GDevelop, face forward. Yeah, that's the name of the extension. And I've got it in the game, so what is going on here? I swear, I've used it so many times. All right, let's look at the extensions here. In fact, there it is right there. I'm not lying. Yeah, all categories. I even put it on something else recently. Was it this leaf? Yeah, it's right here. Why can I not add it to this other object? Curiosa and Curiosa. Huh. And even for that one, if I try to search, it doesn't show up. How strange. Maybe there was an update or something. But I have an idea. I'm going to duplicate this leaf. And I'm going to call it rain. What was the other thing called? Raindrop. I'll just do rain underscore drop. Does it still have that behavior? It does. Destroy outside is fine. We'll keep that. We don't really need the fire bullet on there. Let's delete that. We have face forward. We just need to change. Let's see, what do we have? Has light is fine, actually. We just need to change the look of it. The sprite, more specifically. I'll just pull it from the asset store again. Grab that. Delete the leaf. And edit the points. Whoa, those points are way off. Let's do, what was it? Actually, no, that's fine. I think it was like, what is the center here? Oh yeah, 16. There we go. And collision mask looks fine, and apply. So now let's replace the occurrences of the other raindrop with this one. So rain underscore drop. Copy that. Go up here. That. There. I am messing things up here. Oh, I need to add tween to that one as well. It's a quick fix. Wonder why face forward came off of the extensions. Maybe it's under construction. They knew I was going to try to use it during a live stream, so that's why they messed it up. Raindrop, raindrop, raindrop. All right. Let's see if it works and if they're facing forward. They're facing a different direction. Let me think. It was facing down. So it's facing forward. Maybe I need to modify the sprite. So that's facing, let me double check. That was facing a different direction. Which way was it facing? Because I didn't pay attention. Go to here. So shooting out, they're basically facing to the right. The fat part of the drop is facing to the right. So let's go into the sprite here. And if I edit this beautiful pixel drop. Let's see, if it's facing to the right, we would want that to actually face to the left. So if I think naturally the engine uses the right side of a sprite as the front. So let's rotate and save. Let's see if that does the trick. Let's see if that does the trick. It does. It does do the trick. So yeah, kind of the issue I was seeing is it's lagging behind. It's obviously targeting this one. And it does almost move like a stream of water might, as opposed to like a straight beam, like the like let's say this yellow beam is an exact line. I do like the way it looks in terms of the kind of lag, but it's too much lag. So what can I do about that? I could increase the speed at which they travel. That might do the trick. So let's try that. I think it's tweening over 1 second. So let's try 0.75 seconds. And let's see if that makes it a little more on target. Let's do a couple of these. Okay, don't need that one. I need to fix that bug too. Yeah, it kind of depends on which direction they're coming from. If it's in line with the enemy, it has no problem hitting it. If it's kind of perpendicular, it really struggles. It's hosing those guys down. What else could we do? I could just keep increasing the speed, but at some point it's just going to look like a line. I could increase the size of the sprites and then they would hit, you know, they would be registered more quickly. But I'm not sure I really want them to look a whole lot larger. Let's see, decisions. I mean, we could slowly tween the scale as well. So like, let's say 1.2, and that would be over the same amount of time. So like 0.7, what did I say, 7.5 seconds. And then yeah, scale from the center of the object would be fine. What does that look like? So it'd be fatter at the end of the hose. Let's put a couple of these out here. You know, that one's still lagging significantly behind. It's almost like I need to tell it, you know, if I have the enemies raycast forward, tell it to target that position so that by the time the enemy gets there, the drop might meet it. I might have to do that. So let me look something up for a second here. Let's have, let me see. Let's go up to the enemies. I'm going to add a new event below. This will be, add a comment. We'll do enemy and rain. So we'll say let me see, what do I need here? I'm trying to cast a ray forward. It's been a while since I actually used this here, but maybe it's under the condition. Yeah, it is. So ray cast. Ella Franco, how you doing today? You have any good Thursday so far? Let me think. I'm trying to think of how I want to implement this. I basically want to create a target out in front of each enemy so that the raindrops can target that. So I mean, honestly, if I just created a different point on the enemy, that might even do the trick. Let me see if that's a possibility here. Edit the points. I would kind of need to make the entire scale bigger. So if I edit this in the editor here, I could try making the... This could mess up a lot of things, but I need to remember it's at 50-50. If I resize this, don't resize the content, just resize the... I really just need to resize the width. So this would be... Like, let's say... Actually, hold on. I don't want it to maintain the aspect ratio. Let's say like 125 and resize. And then basically I would put a point way out here. Something like that. Let's save this. Edit the points. Let's add a point and we'll call it rain point. Hopefully it'll let me target this. And we'll set that point to a y value of 25 and then an x value of like 110 and close and apply. Yeah. Okay, so now if I go here, all right. Wherever I create the rain, let me just do a search instead of looking around. Hopefully everyone's having a good week so far. We're almost getting to the weekend. So if you work Monday through Friday, you're almost there. And if you work on the weekends, my condolences. I have been there. Not a fan. All right, so right now it's tweening to the enemy center. So let's see if it gives us the option to do actually, you know what I didn't do is all right, let me look here. Sorry, I'm doing some thinking here while I figure this out. Just trying to get it right so I can get these raindrops colliding with the enemies. We're close. We're very close. All right, let me pull up the documentation real quick. Riley Parker, how you doing tonight? You have anything good for dinner? You just set this to center X. And I'm going to run this in the background while I look at the documentation over here on the boring screen. Let me just plug in a couple of these guys here. I'll give you a water tower and I'll give you a fire tower. And delete that obnoxiousness over there. Look at that, you got a fire hose trying to put out all the water hose trying to put out all the fires. And since I changed the bounding box of that enemy, now the fires are off on the side. It's kind of funny. So again, I'm just looking over here on the documentation for those custom points. And once I get this figured out, we can have the water target the front of the enemies. So almost there. All right, so I guess this is how I need to call those points. So they named it left cannon and right cannon in the example here. And then to call it, you have to call point X and point Y followed by the name. So that's what I was getting wrong here. So let's close this out. And right here, we will do there it is. There it is. And then point Y. Let's see how that looks. back. Put a couple of these on here. Yeah, so now it's shooting right out in front. Which seems to be giving it more collisions than before. And it's targeting whichever ones are closest to this point right here. Not along the pathway, but actually just literally closest, which is something I'll probably need to change at some point. What do we think about this? What do we think? Not in terms of like how pretty it is, just in terms of the functionality. I would say it's hose-like, and I do think we'll get the collisions we need out of it in terms of applying damage. It's definitely ugly, but is it something that we can keep functionally and then pretty it up later? That's the question. You don't need this guy. You know, adding splash and that sort of thing. So I think it's functional enough. I think it's just a matter of making it pretty and then, of course, applying the actual damage. So let's see. We can also tell it to target the one, whichever one happens to be closest to each tower. It might make more sense as well. But that's already in the game as well. It's not something I need to add. Then in that case, it's really going to be a matter of adding a new sprite, making it pretty. We can add a little light to each drop of water, which is something I've been doing for the other projectiles. Let's go ahead and do that. Add new object, light. We'll call it raindrop light. Let's make that like a very light, sort of a blue. And it's only going to be a really tiny radius, like, I'm not even sure, 20? Excuse me. And let's apply that. So wherever the raindrop is created, that's where we want to create. Oh, let's also add a couple of behaviors. The raindrop behavior of sticker. Oh, I just realized what was going on earlier too. I had a couple of filters up there. Okay, I don't need that. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I just realized something. We don't need platformer. Did not mean to add that. Okay, add behavior. Here we go. Sticker. And apply, and then do the same thing for the light. And I'm going to stick them together and apply. So where the raindrop is created, we're going to also create the light. And then we are going to stick that together. So raindrop light, stick to the raindrop. I also need to delete that other raindrop right there. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Hopefully everyone's having a good Thursday night so far. Should get just a little bit of, oh wait, hold on. I did not create that on the correct layer. Let's put the light on the lighting layer, and then let's see how that looks. Get a little bit of backlight on each drop of rain here. All right, there we go. Yeah, now you can really see them. They kind of pop off the background. The backing light is almost too big. You can really see it out toward the end. But it's doing the trick. So let's make the light just a little bit smaller. I think it's at a radius of 20. Let's drop that down to say 10. It doesn't need to be huge. And apply that. It can maybe be slightly bluer. And apply. What else? Let's delete this puddle off and this other thingy. So what I would need to do next is actually create a better looking raindrop sprite. And it won't be anything complicated. I could even try adding an effect to the existing one. Cam day, yeah, if I make the water slightly more translucent, that's 100% correct. And let's try that. And it looks like I'm getting a ton of... Let me pause this. What is happening here? Finnegan Eggert. Hey, I appreciate it. Appreciate the confidence boost there. And welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm going to add some transparency definitely to these raindrops. And again, I'm not sure if this is going to be the final sprite, but let's go ahead and do that. That's a great suggestion. Hey, you have a good day as well. Thank you. All right, raindrop. We can add some effects in here. Let's start with the opacity. I'll just do that here programmatically. Let's go to raindrop opacity. Let's drop that down a bit to, I don't even know at the moment. Let's try 175 ballpark. And then let's see if we can get... I'm really not sure any effects would look good on it. I think it would just be too much if I were to add motion blur or something. Outline, glow. Bloom. I wonder what just a little bit of a blur would look like. My dog's out there barking at something. Okay, so first of all, I broke something here because we're getting way too many drops and it's lagging out. Let me see what just happened. I mean, it shouldn't really be more drops, but it's definitely lagging. What did we do? I did add the lights, but it was working fine a moment ago. Let me add a sub event and drag the lights down just to make sure that that's not the issue. Test that real quick because this is untestable at the moment. And yeah, still lagging. Let's also drag my FPS counter down so I can see that. It's probably going to go down to like the single digits here. Set my towers there. Yeah, that's not right. Hey, there's a first time for everything. It could be the blur. Yeah, let's just strip it back. I literally just made a short about this. Let's just walk it backwards. Let's take off the... No, opacity is fine. Let's take off the effect because it's having to do this for every single drop. And where did it go? There it is. Apply. All right, let's test that. One thing at a time. First time for everything, Finnegan. Yeah, I think that was it. All right, we'll just stick with the opacity. And let's get those lights back on there. Good call, Cam Day. Let's yeah, move these back up. We don't need the sub event anymore. How are we looking now? And when it comes down to like what we're going to do with these, part of what I'm thinking in terms of like the characteristics of the damage types from the towers. So I'm going to have a blood type tower, and that's going to be more like exchanging your own resources for damage kind of thing. You know, kind of warlocky. I don't have that in the game at all. Fire is basically damage over time. Strong against ice. The water, I'm thinking, is going to be more like shield, like enemy shield degen, enemy shield reduction. You know, like it kind of dissolves it. The Flora Tower is kind of a healing effect. Think kind of Plants vs. Zombies, Sunflowers, giving you some of your resource back. And Arcane Tower is like Elemental Pierce. Moon is very physical, and it's got a black hole effect, so it's got some CC ability there, as does the ice. So water, I'm thinking it will do some damage when every drop hits the enemy. I think it's also going to be a bit of a shield reduction. So it's very, you know, mechanical numbers behind the scenes. It's not something that's super visual. I'll put something on there at some point because the problem right now is the enemy shielding is a little bit buggy. So making that connection is probably not happening tonight. But I think that's the direction I'm going to go with these water towers. And gosh, I need to fix this stupid thing. It keeps creating a tower under the button there. All right, so right now, I'm relatively happy. I think it's going to look a little bit better when I add splash. So, I mean, I could try that right now. I have a couple of ideas for the splash effect. I could do, and again, the FPS is tanking here. Let me double check, pause this real quick. Honestly, anything could tank it. It seems like it runs better in the actual web than it does in the engine. I don't know. Do you get that, Cam Day? Do you get better frames? It looks like it's not deleting these drops because I'm not seeing that we have 2,000 on the scene here. We have almost 2,000. It doesn't look like the number is going down anytime soon. So if I pause that and refresh, we're getting, yeah, 2,300. So let's figure out what's going on with those. So I have it set to tween. Oh, the scale never worked. Wonder if that would look good. We haven't even been seeing that properly. Anyway, the FPS is kind of trash for me, but again, I'm gonna just try to get all the stuff into the game and then I'll optimize as I go. So yeah, slight tweening to make them larger along the way. I think that helps with making that impact on the enemy area. And then let's also figure out why they're not deleting, because I thought I told it to destroy the object when the tween finished. So let's debug this. All right, here we go. Let's just start with 1. All right, so on the left side here in the inspector, if I pause and refresh, all right, we've got 287 raindrops, 287 raindrop lights. So I want to look at the position of these. So the first one is at X800, Y141. A lot of them are at that coordinate. 854, 192, all the way down to 936, 365. Yeah, I thought the tween looked pretty decent. And Finnegan, yeah, go have a good night if it's nighttime wherever you are, and have a good day. See you later. And I'll be right back. I need to go see why my dog is going crazy. So, 1 second. Alrighty. We were in the middle of figuring out why this is lagging way out. So, as far as I can tell, it seems like the drops, like right now, they should all pretty much be between this point and that point. So, the ones on the screen, again, that's going to be between 800. Let me write this down real quick. I have a notepad. So it's going to be between 800, 141. And the lowest one is, look how many there are. It's creating more even though it's paused, so that's not helpful. But that's going to be 936, 365. Which is only a distance from about where it started shooting. So the range makes sense. That's pretty much right here along the pathway. The 64 guy gaming, this is GDevelop. Yeah, it's a lesser known engine. It's a codeless, a code-free engine. It uses JavaScript on the back end, but it uses these easy-to-read events on the front end. And so that's why a lot of people like it. Super easy, relatively low learning curve. It's a primarily 2D engine, but they got some 3D into it recently. And it's totally free. It works in the browser. You can download it to desktop. You can use it on mobile. GDevelop 5. And I am troubleshooting some frame issues here that I've created for myself. So let me go to my events. First of all, it seems to be creating every single frame almost. I could, of course, reduce the number of these. I'm not sure how good that would look. But if we half that for starters, and then let's see here. So repeat for each instance of the raindrop. I could also say I could give each drop like a time to live, because I'm not really sure that they're actually deleting. Let me try that, just like as a failsafe. So if they go over a second, they should definitely delete themselves. So when they get created, we'll start a timer on the object. Lots of different ways we could do this. I'm just going to give this a shot. Raindrop. And we'll call it drop deletion. And then so that gets started here. And then for each raindrop, we'll do a check. Timer, drop deletion. If that is greater than or equal to just 1 second, then we will delete. The raindrop. All right, let's see if this helps. Please help. Okay, so they're deleting before. It's taking like a whole second to reach that point, so that's not optimal. I'm not even sure what they're tracking here. What in the world? Because they should complete their tween in 3/4 of a second. So the 1 second lifespan shouldn't affect that, but it clearly had some kind of impact. So if I just disable that timer right now and I play it, let's see how different it looks. So they're really reaching their target like this, but adding the 1 second death timer really impacted that. Greater than or equal to a second. Kind of odd. Let's plug in a 2 and see what happens. Just mess around and find out. All right, so that's with a 2-second timer. It's still coming a bit short. But I wonder, yeah, I'm watching that FPS there. It's still pretty trash, but I wonder if it's going to keep going exponentially lower. Let me look at the debugger. Let's pause that and see how many raindrops we've got. It seems like it gets worse if I pause it. I think they keep generating or something. Like right underneath the tower head, I think they keep generating but not deleting. So that's an issue too. Quick question. What would you all like to see for my next tower? Should I start developing a blood tower? I also need another ability for my arcane tower. And what I currently have for that one, I can show you. I guess I could show you all of them if you're not familiar. But I want to start thinking about it for the next stream. So over here we've got the arcane. Up here, fire, and then let's say holy. So if I call in the next wave, the holy shoots a holy beam, and it burns a hole into the enemy. Dang it, I didn't disable the damage. It's too good at killing. All right, let me disable the damage real quick, and then I can showcase. Yeah, right there. So that's doing damage. That's doing damage. All right. Back to the show and tell. So yeah, just looking for, what do we have? This is the arcane tower. So whenever the enemies get within range, it's going to shoot an arcane bolt at them. Unless I disabled that. Oh, no, there it goes. But I don't have any more abilities for arcane at the moment. So I could add more of those. Then there is the ice tower, which shoots an icicle. And I need to correct the behavior on that a little bit. But otherwise, that's it. I probably need to do like an ice cloud that comes out of this and freezes the enemies in range. And then what else do we have here? The moon tower. It has orbiting moons which pummel the enemies as they come through. And it also has a black hole in the center which absorbs an enemy off of the path, does damage, and spits them back out onto the beginning of the path, one at a time. So that one is actually pretty functionally complete. Nothing for blood whatsoever. I've got a placeholder sprite and that's it. And it shoots a basic bullet. And then the earth tower gives us some spike growth, and those yellow bullets are not going to stay there. That was for a test I did. And then we have basically like the Plants vs. Zombies sunflower equivalent, which I have these little sprite guys down here. That's not final art there, but you can see the little pluses coming out of them, and that's giving me extra resource. So Earth Tower is pretty near to completion, except for that obnoxious bullet spray. That's actually going to look more like this one here. Leaf spray. Anyway, so I'm thinking I need to get something for the blood tower going next time around. But for right now, I would like to explore debugging this rain tower, this water tower issue. So going back to that, pull up the debugger on the side. All right, here we go. Let's get some drops out there, get some data. Let's see how many drops are on the scene. 54, 55, 54. I mean, my frames are all over the place. It does look like it's deleting the drops, which is good. 57, 56. I mean, I should probably just put like a text object out there to show me the number, but the deletion is working. 61. So the deletion is working. It seems like the death timer is still throwing the path off a little bit. So let me go back down and see if I can adjust that. So I have it set to 2 seconds. I wonder if, because that kind of fixed it a little bit from 1 second. I wonder if 3 looks better. I don't really know why it impacts basically how long the drops last, since the tween is only 0.75 seconds and it should delete anyway. So it should be landing right there in front of the enemy. That is by design, so that whenever the enemy is approaching from like a different direction, it doesn't lag tremendously behind. That is intentional. I would like to tell them to target the one nearest to each tower as well. I think it'll look better than telling it to target the one that's nearest to the end. Later, I'm going to build in a lot of options, of course, like target the enemy with the most HP, target the enemy with the highest shield, the least HP, closest to the end, closest to the tower, furthest from the end, closer to the spawn point. All of those options need to be in the game. I'm not there yet because I need to get the basic fundamentals in. So let's see, we said pick nearest to the end. Let's say pick nearest to the tower. Should look a lot better. Oops. All right. And preview that. All right, so I think we're in business. Again, at least in terms of like the placeholder art, in terms of the basic functionality, I think we're in business. I'm going to tweak a few things. I might tweak that endpoint on the enemy. And I'll need to do this for each of these, so it would be a little tedious, but if I go here, so that's pretty far out. Let me bring that back in, let's say to 80, and let's see how that looks. Might make it look a little more on point, literally. So let's get a couple more towers out here. see if the raindrops appear to hit closer to the front of the enemy rather than off of the enemy. And now they're targeting the ones that are closest to each individual tower as well. Well, they're supposed to. That guy's not. They're not. I think I know why. Yeah, I think the point looked good though. In terms of the targeting, pick the enemy that's nearest, and then tween. Pick the enemy that is nearest to the tower center, then tween the position of the rain drop to the enemy's point. This might be overkill, but let me try adding a variable here. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it's extra. And I know that there's also a built-in check for this, but I'm going to try to do it manually. Sometimes I've had bugs using the built-in check. So if raindrops are on the scene, then let's add a sub event there. And we'll say, yeah, repeat for each, actually, hold on. Repeat for each instance of raindrop. We'll say if the variable value of the tween is false, then we want it to do all this other stuff. As a sub event. So let's drag that in there. Let's move this down. Okay, and then this actually needs to be, there's a couple of things I could change here. So I'm going to drag that up, drag that inward, drag that down. All right. Just doing a little cleanup here. So now let's look at the logic. So if the number of raindrops on the scene are greater than 0, then for each of those, if the deletion timer is greater than or equal to 3 seconds, yep, say hi to the people. Power to the people. Yeah, she's off to bed. Okay, so if the drop deletion is greater than 3 seconds, delete the drop. Otherwise, if the tween variable, the Boolean, is false, then if it's false, we will set it to true and then also continue with this other stuff. Hey, the Cronsata, finally. Man, it's been like been playing phone tag or something. How have you been, man? Just dealing with some crappy frames over here myself. All right, so the variable tween started of the raindrop is false. Set that to true. And then it's going to pick an enemy and start the tween. I probably broke some stuff just now doing all that, but let's give it a test because that's what we're here for. All right, they're targeting something, right? I think that I think the drops hitting the target are better than before. They're not targeting like the furthest away. They're not targeting the closest. I'm not really sure what logic is going on there. And that part there is trash. What might be helpful for troubleshooting is actually enabling the previous ability, which is the beam, because that's going to be a direct line to the nearest enemy. So that in and of itself might be a guide. Working a lot and writing novels worth of dialogue. Excuse me. I feel you. I mean, it's that adult life, right? It's pretty much what I'm doing, except instead of writing meaningful stuff, I'm just over here playing with my sprites. Yeah, you have any? Are you off for Labor Day? If I can even say it. So right here, case in point. So the beams are accurate. They're going to the nearest to each tower, but as you can see, this one is continuing to target that one way over there. So we have a discrepancy. Very interesting here. Four days off, nice. I've got the 3 off, but not sure how you swung the 4. That's awesome. Should be some good writing time for you then. The Holy Towers, yeah, the Holy Towers went pretty well. I'm not sure I did a lot after you left. I can pull up what I've done so far. Actually, I added an ability. So yeah, Holy Towers, here we go. We've got the Holy Beam, which I think you saw. And then I added a Fist of the Heavens type of attack, which will target a random enemy on scene every few seconds. And you can see it there in action. Get a couple of them going here. And so it's shooting out, it's striking an enemy at random with a lightning bolt, and then it's shooting out those holy bolts, which will, once I enable the damage, it'll do a lot of damage. So yeah, that's where the Holy Tower is right now. It's one of my stronger towers at the moment, capability-wise. Water towers are a little finicky tonight, but I'm making progress. So I'm interested in seeing where the deviations are between the beam versus the water drops. So anytime we see the drops go to a different enemy, because I told it to target the nearest, and if it disobeys, then tisk tisk. Like right here, I can't tell if it's just lagging behind, but it looks like it's still targeting this one over here. Looks like they both are. They're definitely targeting that one because the point on the enemy is out in front, so they would be hitting here instead of there. And I don't know why. Let me maybe look at that. Yeah, paint the logos. That's literally what came to mind when I made my last thumbnail. I put a tower, a city's water tower on the thumbnail. I can't say water tower without thinking of that, as opposed to like a tower defense tower. Where I live, it'd be the Yukon Millers. All right, I'm gonna look at the logic here for the beam because it is accurate. It's tight. And all I told it to do was, for each instance of the tower head water, pick the enemy that is nearest to it, and then draw the line to the enemy center X and center Y. So I think I know the problem. I see what must be the problem. Here I'm telling it to pick, I'm telling the raindrop to pick the enemy that's nearest to the tower, but it didn't tell the raindrop to pick which tower. So I think I need to do some linking here. Yeah, let's link the drops to the tower head. How can I do this? Let's do... where we create the raindrops. Yeah, water can fit into any space. It is strong and flexible, capable of great physical damage, and it is a patient element. Yeah, kind of like the water drops chipping away at the stone, right? It erodes. I'm still super open to ideas. I was just talking about this in terms of the game design for my water tower. What I had in mind was some sort of a shield, like it functions against the enemy shielding. Because every element here, I've got to assign some kind of, not just damage, but like, what is it all about? And so arcane, maybe that's elemental pierce. Fire, probably strong against like ice. In the blood tower, you exchange your own resources for extra damage. Holy, holy's got to be darkness piercing. And then the flora, holy could give you healing, but I also have the flora tower, which is kind of our healing. So the water, yeah, kind of in line with what you're saying. It's capable of great physical damage. This might be the only element that can shield degen on the enemies, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'm open to suggestions. All right, so I'm going to assign, I think I need to create an ID for the raindrop or link it to the tower head. So let's see, this is repeat for each instance of the tower head water. Create the object raindrop. Yeah, I can just link it directly. So we'll say link to objects. The order here matters. We will link the raindrop to the tower. And then up above, we need to consider, make sure I get this right. Sometimes the order goes, if I get the order backwards, it won't work quite as well. See, I think this is backwards. But I'm acting on... Maybe I don't even need to do this out here separately. I could just drag it down to where the raindrop is created. Yeah, you think flexibility, change, and gradual erosion. No, I mean, yeah, I completely agree, because that's 100% accurate. And so how can I implement that? Well, when I started the evening, I was starting with some puddles, and I'll need to explore that on a different session because I wanted to get some reflectivity on the puddles to make them look good. But I do want to get some, pooling effects going on. And so maybe as the raindrops continue to, I keep saying rain. I mean, it's just shooting out from the water like a hose. So as the drops keep going out onto the scene, maybe they're pooling up and they're leaving behind these puddles, which, can build up over time, maybe in area or in terms of intensity, something like that. Maybe the longer it's on an enemy, it has like an exponential rate of sort of, shield erosion, something like that. What else could we do with that? Obviously, it's flexible. So, I don't really have too many obstacles. At some point, I could probably put obstacles where, the tower can't see in a particular direction. But maybe if it's shooting a puddle out, that could, leak around the corner or something like that. So if like this tower right here was a barrier to this tower, the water could, splash around it, things like that, maybe. And again, going back to this targeting, I don't even know why I have it. I just need to initiate a tween. All right, let me try something here. Bear with me, people. I'm going to disable this temporarily because I took a different approach on that, and I'm not really sure why. I just need to initiate the tween once. So down here, repeat for each instance of the tower. If the rain timer is this amount of time, create the raindrop, and then we'll just say tween. So let's redo the tween. Actually, I can probably even copy that line of code so I don't need to redo it. Let's copy, go down, and paste that in. Tween the position of the raindrop to that enemy position. Now, some of those other events can stay up there, but I don't think that the tween needed to be up there. So we probably don't even need the linking. We will keep the decay timer here. Let me see here. Why is this? Okay, so we want that one. We want to disable the tween. We don't really need that here now. The scale. We want the scale. Let's see if that is still functional. A tidal wave AoE. Yes, I was trying to think of an idea for like an ultimate ability. Because I have a couple right now. I had Monsoon, which would be basically like rain. Tidal wave might be pretty cool. Shooting out from the tower in all directions. That might be a good ultimate type of ability. Destroys rocks, destroys fire. There is going to be a fire enemy, so that's a very natural relationship there. I agree with that. Flushes enemies away, cleanses the battlefield. Yeah, could do some pushback along the pathway, something like that. I like that. I'm going to copy tidal wave down here. So that could be either a tower ability or an ultimate even, using the water element. And right now the ultimates, I don't have a lot of ultimates at the moment. I've got the meteors. And then there's a moon effect, which is less, it's a little bit visual, but it's going to be more of, I think this is actually going to reverse or petrify every enemy on the scene. And so as you power up, you can level it up, extend the amount of time, that sort of thing. I put in an earth effect, but I think it's going to be more like just the tower's ability rather than an ultimate. So not a lot of ultimate abilities at the moment. Okay, let's see if I broke the water tower or if it's accurate now. It's not accurate because they're targeting different things again. Dang it. I drop a dynamite on you. All right, let's see then. What is the issue here? Oh, well, so I know the issue. I think. Do I? Pick the enemy that's nearest. And then if the rain timer yeah, whirlpools is a good idea. I'll add that to the list of possibilities here. That one would be pretty easy to implement because they've got something a little bit similar on the moon, but the whirlpools could be out on the scene, whereas the moon tower has sort of a black hole on the tower. Clouds with lightning bolts, yeah. Yeah, I need to get some clouds into the game. I even have a cloud sprite from a previous game I can probably put in here pretty quickly. But Yeah, maybe on the next stream I'll explore that one as well. Let me see here. So again, I'm pretty happy with the rain beam, minus the fact that I'll probably update the sprite. But that said, the targeting is still a bit off. Yeah, I appreciate any thoughts that you have, because here's the moon again. So we've got the orbiting moons, which inflict physical damage, rather strong physical damage. The limitation, of course, is they can miss. So they're really strong if they hit, but there's a good chance they're going to miss. It's not a huge AoE unless it happens to swipe along the pathway, so it's very specific. But it also does have a black hole here in the middle, so it will pick an enemy. It'll pick the nearest enemy and suck it in, do damage, and then spit it back out at the beginning. It's kind of hard to track where it's doing this. I need to put in some visuals, but that's what's happening. So every handful of seconds it'll bring it in. So, as far as like a whirlpool idea, I could do the same thing but out along a pathway. And then so rather than at like a water tower, it would just be along a pathway in a whirlpool puddle. And then the moon tower, I've got these two things. I have sort of a full moon ability here, which could do, like I said, a petrify, a backwards movement. Petrify is probably going to be easier. And then, but that's not specific to the tower. That's just moon element. So open to other ideas for the moon here. Moon does gravity, which again, that's kind of like the black hole. And then, I guess a tidal wave is kind of a combination of the moon and the water. So if I implement any synergies like water and electricity, or water and the moon tower, if you can wet an enemy and then strike them with your random Fist of the Heavens ability, maybe they crit. Maybe if there's a water tower next to the moon tower, tidal waves, there's a chance of tidal waves, which is well beyond where I am at this point. But as I complete the towers, we can start looking at tower synergies. This is funny. It's now targeting the trapped enemy here on the moon tower. Moon tower, you're throwing off my testing. All right. Yeah, so the targeting is still off here. All right, so if we have a water tower head, then repeat for each instance of that. Pick the enemy that's nearest to it. And it's drawing a line, which is telling us which enemy that is. And then it will also, once every 0.4 seconds, create a raindrop at the tower head. And then it's supposed to tween the drop to the enemy So here is the issue here. I found it. So this is targeting enemies, and this is targeting enemy backers, which is a an invisible sprite. The new AI game system that generates Doom on the fly. I've heard about it. I didn't check it out. Man, I gotta say, it's pretty crazy. Not just what AI can do now, but like the exponential growth curve. It's pretty daunting. Man. Which, you know, it's kind of like, especially when it comes to like artists and AI, like you and me, right? It's like we do our craft because we enjoy it. You can write a full 300-page novel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chat GPT. So it's like you and I, like we have our things that we enjoy doing, but then with AI, it can be so much more accelerated. You know, quality, of course, is questionable, but that would come with time. And so I remember it's like the argument of, like we would all argue that photography is a craft and an art these days, right? But when cameras came around, it was all of the fine artists who would sketch and paint portraits. He would say that you know, photography is ruining the portrait, whereas now it's like photography is the accepted craft, but AI images are the craft that are questioned and challenged. Yeah. Hey, you don't have to say that. I don't think it's going to save you just because you pretend to be on their side. But do I still tell ChatGPT please every now and then? Yes. For that reason, I will be spared. Okay, so I had the wrong object here. Let me just change the object, and I think finally this will work. So enemies, and then down here instead of enemy backer, I will pick enemy. So tween it to right here. Oh, I remember why I changed this. So if I'm going to do enemies, I have to do something different here. Because I needed to change the point. So if I go back to that, this is the enemy backer. So we never see it, it's transparent, but I had to add a point on here. This is what the water is targeting, because as this is moving forward, the water drop is slow. So by the time the slow water drop gets to here, that will have also reached that point, approximately. But I can't do that because my actual enemies, the thing that we see, is just a particle emitter. So my enemies are in two parts, which is a little annoying. And I can't adjust the points on a particle emitter. So I need to change this previous part to target the enemy backer thingy. tower itself needs to pick enemy backers. And for testing purposes, I'm going to have it target just this specific type of enemy. Then I'll have to come back in. I'll probably modify this offline because it'll be super boring. But if we can get it working here, then we're in good shape. Yeah, the holodeck. I wonder how far off we really are from things like that. Probably the hardest part would be, I think we're very close to the visual, even without, probably without, goggles or glasses. The question is, can a holographic bullet kill? Picard said yes. Pop quiz though, what's the best Star Trek movie? Or at least what's your favorite? Okay. All right, actually, there's so many little things I'm gonna have to change here. I'm actually getting close to time for tonight too. All right, I'm gonna put a pin in this. We're close enough on the water tower. I just need to modify a few behind the scenes variables, a few points, and then it's gonna be working. So if I go back to my spreadsheet here, we've got the water beam. I'm gonna put a line through on that. Rain, I'm gonna put a line through on that as well. We have another couple of ideas for how to do water, like such as a whirlpool, tidal wave. And so next, I do need ideas for arcane. We already have arcane bolts. I've already got two different beams going on, so probably not a beam. So let's keep in mind possibilities for an arcane tower effect. And then it will be onto the blood tower predominantly. Wrath of Khan. Yeah, that's a good one. In the first movie, yeah. Are you mentioned the holodeck. Are you like a true Trekkie, would you consider yourself, or do you just like enjoy Star Trek? Like, I'm not knowledgeable enough to consider myself a Trekkie, but I have watched pretty much all of them. And we need more ultimate abilities here. So I'm going to write a few notes down here. I'm just going to call this to do. One, fix water targeting. Two, the earth tower leaf spray. It's already in the game. I put it in as an ultimate. I want to just make it a simple tower ability. And then we need... I wanted to fix the puddles and reflections. It did not work out very well at all for my use case tonight. Just try dressing up in uniform. Nice. Yeah, my Klingon is pretty rusty, so I can't meet you there. But so with all that being said, are you preferable to one of the two? Well, there are lots of captains, but Kirk or Picard. Because like when I'm just young enough that it was Next Generation as I was growing up, right? So I kind of grew up favorable to the Next Gen and Picard's crew. So one of my favorite movies was First Contact. I would put that up there with the two that you described, the first movie and Khan, in my opinion. What else was I adding to this list? Besides everything I need to do, I think water targeting, earth tower leaf spray, puddles and reflections. I guess I could say like replace the water drop, but really a lot of art might be replaced in the end. So that's probably not unique to that item. So let's pull up the game, and we are drawing to a close here tonight. He savagely beats them to death with kindness. I've never heard it put that way, but I like that. Plus, Picard has the best facepalm moments. All right, so on the docket coming up, I'll probably be doing. I don't think I have a live stream scheduled for this weekend, but I will live stream at some point. I just can't say when exactly. And when that time comes, I'm going to be looking to. Hopefully I'll have already fixed some of these bugs and small issues. It'll be on to finishing out some of these tower abilities, and then maybe these ultimate abilities, which we don't have very many of at all. This one is in the game. This is actually not... What is this one? No, we don't have that one at all. We have the full moon. And that's it. Yeah, nice to finally catch you again. And, you know, if I see you... Yeah, different franchises with deep lore. I mean, honestly, I go down rabbit holes. Like, I don't remember a lot of it. It's just kind of like in one ear and out the other. But, like, you know, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or whatever, it's like... or even some of the game universes... you know, the Diablos I've read into, World of Warcraft I've read into. It's like you can go pretty deep down those rabbit holes, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Nice. Yeah, Mass Effect is probably the only one in that list I haven't actually read up on, but like pretty much each of those. And Lord of the Rings, for example, I was just saying yesterday, we don't need... Someone made the comment, or it was a meme or something. Someone is going to remake Lord of the Rings one day, and they said they will hate it. I don't think Lord of the Rings ever needs to be remade. Go make more. There's so much out in that universe, right? Like the Blue Wizards, or you know, Far Herod. You know, what is that? Southeast of Mordor. Like, we don't know anything in that part of the world. It's such a bigger world. We don't need to remake Lord of the Rings. We need more of the world. And Mass Effect is amazing. I'll have to look into the story behind Mass Effect. And the game, I guess, too. I guess Rings of Power was like an example of not remaking Lord of the Rings, but they did a pretty bad job of what they did attempt. All right, so I've got my work to do here. I need, oh, that's one of the things. I need to add some enemy points. All right, so there's that. And then after the tower abilities, we'll finally move on to the enemies. For sure. Yeah, Tolkien is it's mind-blowing. I think like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but it seems like a lot of people mimic what he did, and they come up with their languages and stuff, which is still impressive, but he seemed ahead of his time in a way. I'm pretty sure he was looked at pretty oddly in his time, whereas now he's a narrative hero. Yeah. Yeah, he wishes. All right, well, I'm going to bring this to a close here. I know there's a delay in the chat, so I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to bring this to a close, and I'm going to be back on again sometime this weekend. I've got 3 days off. Hope you enjoy your 4 days off, and hopefully I'll see you sometime over those 4 days. So thanks for hopping on, man. And anyone else who's been on the stream, thanks for watching the stream, and continuing my tower defense journey here in GDevelop. It's a rocky road sometimes, literally and figuratively, but we're getting there. And soon I hope to put out a playable demo once I have all these basics into the game, and would appreciate any feedback. So, Kritzada, yeah, it was a good night. You take care, and I'll see you again soon. And so, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Have a good night.